Social media content is extremely measurable, making it easy to see the impact of your content on digital channels. Social media content is so measurable that looking at all available metrics and stats can easily be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. What's important is not to monitor all the metrics available, only those relevant to your digital objective. How do I evaluate my social media content and set digital objectives and metrics? You should think about evaluation at the very start of your campaign and set objectives, identify the most relevant metrics or KPIs, measure your impact against benchmarks, and use learnings to optimize and improve your activity. In this video, we'll go through all these steps together. Set objectives at the start. Identifying your digital objectives at the very start of your campaign or activity is the key to success. Ask yourself, what would I like to achieve with my digital communication? You can choose among 3 digital objectives. Awareness. Awareness is your core objective when your aim is to reach your target audience and make them aware of your message. Ideally, you'd like them to see, absorb, and remember your content. Engagement. Engagement is the objective you choose when you'd like your target audience to acknowledge and interact with your content. You're not really concerned about what they're going to do next. After liking or sharing or leaving a comment on your content, they may keep scrolling in their feed, and that's exactly what you want them to do. When you don't want to only reach and engage your target audience, but you would also like them to do something else beyond the platform they're in, your objective becomes conversion. In the private sector, this is usually the most important objective, and it corresponds with the online sale of a product. For government departments, we might choose a conversion objective when we'd like our target audience to click through and read more on gov.uk, or when we'd like them to subscribe to a newsletter or an online service. In this case, your goal is to convince your target audience to leave the platform they're in to do something else. For example, read more or subscribe somewhere else. You may need to choose more than one objective, but we recommend prioritizing them by clearly identifying your core objective and a potential secondary objective. Identify the most relevant metrics or KPIs. According to your objectives, you'll be able to easily identify the most relevant metrics or KPIs. In fact, you won't need to monitor all metrics available, but only the relevant metrics or KPIs, otherwise known as key performance indicators, related to your digital objective. If your digital objective is raising awareness, typical digital KPIs are reach, so how many people I've reached with my message, or impressions, how many times my message has been displayed. It's easy to understand the difference between reach and impressions with a simple example. If the same user sees the same post 3 times on his Facebook feed, he would have generated 1 reach and 3 impressions. If your content is video, you could measure awareness by video views, a metric similar to impressions but based on video content. If instead your digital objective is engagement, you could measure your success looking at different types of engagement, likes, comments, or shares. You could also decide to look at all of them combined, measuring your engagement rate. Engagement rate is usually measured dividing the sum of all interactions by the number of total impressions. Because the engagement rate is calculated relative to the number of impressions a piece of content had on social media, the engagement rate for both very popular and less popular content can be compared equally. If driving traffic to gov.uk, so a conversion, is your main objective, you could look at landings. Click-through rate measures the number of clicks on a social media platform that hosts your content. Landings, instead, are measured on the website where you're driving traffic to and indicate how many times your landing page has been fully loaded. Click-through rate and landings usually don't match because many users click but then leave the page immediately, even before the page has loaded in full, and many clicks are driven by bots, not resulting in any landing. Landings are therefore more accurate than click-through rate. However, this metric is not always available. When you don't have access to the website analytics, click-through rate is a good approximation. If your conversion objective is to drive subscriptions, you could calculate your conversion rate, dividing the number of subscriptions by the number of total impressions for your content. Now, you've chosen your objective and selected the most relevant metrics. What's next? Measure your impact against benchmarks. Analytics are usually available within many social media platforms. When demonstrating success or performance using a figure, it's important to provide some context and a comparison using benchmarks. You could compare your performance to the average based on previous periods or to similar content. You can calculate the percent variance between your performance and your benchmark by subtracting the benchmark number from the performance number and then dividing the result by the benchmark number. Let's see this in practice through an example. You shared a video post, and since your main objective is awareness, you're now measuring video views. You decide that your benchmark is the average video views for your channel for the previous quarter. Let's say 10,000 average video views. Your new video has achieved only 5,000 views. You subtract 10,000 from 5,000 and divide the result by 10,000, which equals a result of negative 50% compared to your benchmark. Something here didn't work as expected. If instead your video were achieving 20,000 views, you could subtract 10,000 from 20,000 and divide the result by 10,000, which equals positive 100% growth compared to your benchmark. Time to celebrate such a strong performance. A comprehensive evaluation not only looks at quantity, but at quality as well. For example, a post with 10 shares versus a post with only 2 might appear to be more successful, but that might change when analysing who those engagements came from. 10 retweets from individual accounts with very few followers compared with 2 shares from a high-profile partner, influencer, or someone who's in your target audience could have much more impact. Knowing who you've reached, how they've engaged with your posts, and what has worked well will go a long way to making a bigger impact on social media. Use learnings to optimize and improve your activity. Act on any insight to drive improvement and inform future planning. And don't forget to make the link between your activity and its impact on your organization's goals. Happy evaluation!